Hello, everyone. It's really great to see you all. I cannot see your face, unfortunately, but I can see the excitement in the chat room. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay. Yeah, thank you for coming. Today, we are going to have 1.5 hour webinar for a really exciting topic, data visualization for result communication. We are not only talking about data visualization, we are also going to talk about how to bring our data visuals into a good result communication. As a male practitioner, it's a day-to-day job for us to bring our data, not hidden in our computer, but to bring it up to the different stakeholders so the data is spoken. Okay, so my name is Yuni. I'm from Indonesia. I work with DevLearn. Some of you maybe we've seen each other before. It's really great to see you all. Okay, this webinar objective, we have two webinar objective here. First is to refresh our understanding of way to present data. I know all of you has a lot of experience in data visual. It's not to teach you step by step on data visualization, it's just to refresh our understanding. And then number two, we will share useful tips and learning in creating a result communication thesis. In this webinar, I divided the section into two. The part one is we are focusing on data visualization. We are going to talk about different type of chart with practical example from my own work, from the case studies, and also the common mistakes we are usually often see in the reports. And then the part two is about result communication, because data visual is not enough. We need to bring it up into one piece of a good data result communication. Okay, like Muneeb said, we have two different rooms. We have chat room. When I say write it in the chat room, then using this yellow room. Okay, but if you have more question, deeper question, you have feedback or suggestion regarding the content itself, please feel free to write it up in Q&A. Okay, so now let's begin. The first part is data visualization, how to bring numbers to engaging visual, engaging pictures. I want to ask all of you, could you think about the last time, the recent time you did a task involving data visualization? And then I want you all to remember, what are the challenges you face? Put it under the chat room. Just simple stories about the challenges you face in your recent task about data visualization. I give you 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Oh, is my sound clear?
I can hear you okay. Maybe speak a bit slower and louder if possible, just in case there are like network issues.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Marianne said simplifying complex data. I agree. Too much issues to create a simple presentation. Yeah, I agree. Data accuracy. If the data is rubbish, then the result will be also rubbish. Adding qualitative, yeah, adding visual into qualitative, it's one of the challenges. Select appropriate visualization. Yes, it is. It is the challenges. And okay, data management. Yes, I see all of you has all the experience, understand the challenges. I hope I'm not going to solve your challenges for sure. This is the way we learn about our experience and then sharing the important lessons and tips. Okay, now Muneeb yesterday has sent you an Excel sheet in the email. We are going to use it in the next part of the exercise. Adam, could you help me drop the link? If you didn't get the emails, the Muneeb's email yesterday, Adam will drop you a link. You can open the link and download the file.
The link's in the chat box now. So if you just click on it, you'll get the downloaded file.
Okay. You can download it and then open it. Have it open in your laptop. We have 3 problems there. I was a math teacher, so it reminds me a lot in my days as a math teacher. So let's start our exercise. Okay, I hope everyone okay with the Excel file. Do you have the Excel file ready? Okay. I give you a moment to prepare your file. Okay, yes, it works. Good. Okay, so we have 3 problems here, but we are going to go one by one, okay? So the first one is we want you to create a graph to show regional performance. I'm providing you here with the table, a simple table showing achievement from 3 different regions. We have Africa, Asia, and Europe, and then we have total reach, annual reach for each year from 2021 to 2023. Okay, I want you to create one graph to show, to inform how the result changes over time. I'll give you 3 minutes to play around with the graph. Only one graph. Pick the most appropriate graph. Pick one graph. I give you 3 minutes to do the exercise. If you are not a male person, maybe you're not really aware how to select the data, I want to show you how to select the data, okay? But if you are experienced, you can start. So if you're not aware how to select the data, you just block the cells, and then you go to insert, and then you pick your desired graph here. You can go to recommended chart, it's recommended by Excel, or you can go to all chart and then pick the right graph you want.
And just for the first one, right, for regional performance?
Yes, that's the first one, okay? Only the first one.
I've typed the exercise into the chat box for Ivan.
Okay. You don't need to share your graph. We will ask you after this, we will have a poll. I want to just see which graph you choose. Yes, you can work from the file Muneeb sent you in the mail. It's the same exercise file. Okay, I hope everyone can try it. It's not, I cannot see you, but yeah, let's Has everyone finished? Okay. Okay, now I want to see your choice of graph. Ella, could you run the poll?
Yes, I'll get out for you just now.
Okay. Yeah. You will see the poll on your screen. Could you please choose one graph that you choose in the exercise? It's the option is line chart, bar chart, stack bar chart, pie chart, or others. The poll is on your screen. Okay, has anyone choose? Okay, Ella. Oh, bar chart. Okay. The most used graph here is bar chart, and the second one is line chart. I'm so glad we are in the same frequency here because, yeah, let's see. Let's discuss about it. Okay, we have one table of the annual achievement from 3 different regions. And my message, the main message here is different graphs will tell different stories. Excel will provide you with a lot of options, and each option will tell you different stories. So the first thing to remember is you need to prepare what is the message you want to tell the audience. For example, if you pick this one, I believe many of you pick this one. It's the story that we are going to tell here is the annual result across three regions. If you pick this graph, the user will be able to compare what happened in Africa in 3 years, what happened in Asia. For example, here we can see the dip in Asia during 2021 to 2022. We can see another dip in 2022 to 2023 for Africa. So we can compare between region and between the year. It's a really good graph to reflect the annual result changes over time. But we have different options. If you want to project the result to regional manager, for example, they want to see each region performance over time, but the focus will be on the region. So you can create the graph like this. The axis is the region, and then it changes over time. Okay, do you have the same graph? Yeah, I believe you are. Okay, and then the second way, the other way to project our graph is we will have, if we have different ways of processing data, then our data will tell different stories. For example, our original table is an annual table. Then we can have a cumulative table, which means the number here is add up to the next year, up to 2022, up to 2023. If you draw the graph from this table, then you will see this line. So you don't see the dip. It's the dip, the decrease in achievement in Africa during 2022-2023. It's kind of like hidden. It shows a smooth progress. It's good if you want to see the total of your achievement over the year. Okay, but like I said before, some of the details and then the nuances is hidden. And then, or if you also want to communicate to your regional manager, want to focus on more regional data, you can pick the bar graph, cumulative, but separated per region. Okay, and then the next one, we will have another type of data communication, another different messages if we are using a wider lens. So before, the focus is on the region. But if we want to shift the focus into a global, you can pick this one using stack bar. So the region is on the stack, and then we see the total. So we only see 3 columns total for a global result. It is better if you want to present your data to maybe stakeholder, the high level stakeholder, maybe to your donor. So in this way, you can still see the regional achievement, but you also can see the global achievement. Or in cumulative, it's more nicer if you have the cumulative, global cumulative, but you can stack the region as a stack bar. Okay, so the main message from me here, different type of graph will tell different stories. You need to focus to craft your message first before you decide what graph you're choosing. Okay, I hope it's clear. Now we have the second exercise. It's similar, but not really similar. Can you go to your Excel again? I will open my Excel here. We have the second exercise. This is about data disaggregation. Okay, I believe we all deal with data disaggregation in our day-to-day life. We have region, same 3 region with a global, and then we have 2 disaggregation, man and woman. And the third column, I create a formula to show percentage of women within the region. So in Africa, the woman is 27% out of the total achievement. In Asia, it's 52, in Europe, it's 79. And then I have another column, it's a region's contribution to the total woman. So 15%, meaning the formula is regional Africa's contribution to overall women. So it's 2 different calculation, 2 different meaning, and I want you all to try to create a graph to show gender inclusiveness. And then the aim of the graph is to showcase region achievement for a gender inclusiveness goal. Pick one graph again. Pick one graph. You can, I don't want to say the answer here, but you can choose whichever column you want, and then choose the graph that you want to show the result to. Okay, I give you maybe 4 minutes for this one. Yeah, column B and C shows the disaggregation from our total data. So our total data for Africa, our total achievement for Africa is 4,050, 550, and then the disaggregation is like this: 3,300 for men, and then 1 to 50 for women. Done, Abdul Malik, thank you. Has anyone done? We will. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. I hear so many thumbs up. Okay, that's good. Ella, could you run the poll again?
Yeah, just coming.
Okay, can you pick one? Which graph did you choose in the exercise? Okay, let's see the answer. Ah, this is interesting. Okay, we have bar chart and then we have pie chart. This is really good. Okay, it's correct. There are no wrong answer here. Okay, as I said before, we can pick different graph to say different messages. For this example, we have man, woman, percentage of women within region, and then the region contribution. And then we can choose this one. Maybe some of you pick this one. The story about this graph is we are telling the story about gender inclusivity each region. We are choosing the third column, the percentage of women within region. That's why the Europe is skyrocketing. It's 97%. Yeah, but the thing that is not shown here is the number of the women. Okay, Europe is 97%, but actually the number is not the highest. Then maybe you want to choose the region's contribution to showcase that Europe is good, but overall, in the overall woman, Europe's contribution is only 17%, and the data will look like this, which is correct too. But if you only show these numbers, then the Europe, because Europe is basically working really hard to target women, we are not being fair to that area if we only show the second one. So the best pick here is the stack bar or the stack column. We choose we choose the man and woman column, and then we stack it. So in Europe, we can still see their achievement is around like 1,400, and then we can see that most of them is women. So we are showing two different messages here. It's a more complex story about both proportion and also the volume, the size. Okay. If you have any question, please drop it in the Q&A or in the chat box. Adam and Muneeb here can help you with the questions. Now, let's move to the next one. The next exercise, let's move it again to our Excel. This is the third one. The third one, okay, we will experiment with a new graph. The graph that is not really common to use, because in previous two example, we are using bar, pie chart. Oh yeah, I didn't mention pie chart. Why we are not choosing pie chart? I'll explain later why we are not choosing pie chart, okay? The third example here, we experiment with a new graph you never used before. Here, I provide you a more complex, a more complete table. We have region, we have target, and I'm using rich here because it's more neutral. Maybe in your program you are using access, maybe you are using beneficiary maybe, but I'm using rich here. Rich is defined as the number of people accessing innovation or information that your program supported. And then we have the achievement of rich per region. We have the output defined as the people who start showing changes, who start the behavior change as a result of the intervention. And then the last one, we have outcome. Outcome meaning it's defined as a number of people who achieve your goal of the program. Maybe it's about increasing income, maybe it's about employment. Okay, I'll give you 4 minutes to experiment with this table. Choose only one, but like unusual table. Not a bar, not stack bar, not pie, not line, but different table. You can see different table here. If you pick, for example, you want to see here, you can see, you can pick recommended chart, go to all chart, and then here you can experiment with the unusual chart. You can maybe using map, tree map, radar, just experiment. I'll give you 4 minutes. Oh yeah, if you are using the old Excel, you cannot see the geographical data. Okay. If you are finished, I won't do the poll because the combination is too much. If you are finished, could you write your graph of choice in the chat room? I want to see, so I can read what is your preferred chart for this. Map, radar, combo, wow. Funnel, yes. Line chart, waterfall, you tried waterfall, great. Clustered column, yes. Radar, okay. Tree map, it's exciting, yes. tree map. No, it's not cheating. Yeah, I'm using map too. Funnel combo. Okay, nice, great. A lot of combination of graphics, exciting. So let's discuss. For our table, we can explore in many different things of numbers. Sometimes in a report, if we only use the same type of chart, sometimes it's like boring. People tend to be more interesting to read many different type of chart. And the first one I choose is map. Okay, it's if you don't have the new Excel version, it is harder to create map. But if you have it automatically from Bing, from Microsoft, you don't need to install anything. It's already there. And the good thing about this is you can see the gradient. The darker it is, meaning that the number is bigger. So it's really good if you manage a bigger portfolio, and then you want to see the gradient of your achievement. The next one I'm choosing is funnel. That's correct. Some of you using funnel. So funnel is really good when you have different level of changes. In result change, we are using activities, output, outcome, sometimes impact. So it really shows the relation between each level. For example, here we have 14,300 for reach, but not everyone goes to output and not everyone goes to outcome. We can come up with the conversion rate or the success rate from reach to outcome level. It's 4,000 out of this 14,000. Okay, this is really good. And then the next one I choose is a GOJ chart. Maybe you've seen this in some of dashboard. It's not really available in Excel. You need to manually draw each element. Yeah, which is maybe more hassle, but it shows really good when you want to show each achievement to date out of the target. And here, the endpoint is not the target because I'm realizing a lot of program maybe overachieve the target. So the endpoint here is 40,000. It's over the target. The target is 25,000. You can play around also with the color, which area is red, and then amber, and then green. And then you can see here under it is a percentage. How many percent the target is achieved to date. Okay, and then if you have longitudinal report, you report again the next year, then the GOJ chart will move. The last one I'm choosing is tree map. I see you also choosing this tree map. Tree map is really good if you don't want to show a pie chart. So it's the same, it's a proportion, showing the proportion, the biggest proportion, meaning they have the big achievement without using the pie chart. Why I'm not a fan of the pie chart, I'll discuss it later. Okay. Okay, ready for the next one? Okay, I want to show you the exercise is over. You can close your Excel if you want. I want to show you a different type of chart that maybe not really commonly used, but really interesting. The first one is sunburst. Okay, it's similar with spider. I saw some of you pick the spider in the previous exercise, but this is sunburst. Sunburst is not available on Excel. I'm using Canva here. The sunburst is really useful when you want to show different aspect. For example, here I'm showing the different aspect under the dimension of women economic empowerment. I have three dimension for different four different colors for individual asset, finance, social, and then agency. And then I have three sub indicator for each asset. So it's really complex measurement, but Sunburst can allow me to show it in a compact area and show everything. With this example, we can see For this woman, this particular woman is about profile of woman entrepreneur in Southeast Asia. We can see the time. They are not managing the time really well because the woman entrepreneur is really overwhelmed with tasks. So we can see, okay, they don't have a good dimension on time, but they have a great confidence. We can see the difference. Okay. The second one is pictograph. Pictograph, you can use some apps. I think some website can provide you with picture chart, but I'm doing it manually. I'm doing it in PowerPoint. In this particular example, this picture chart shows a different division of labor within a cacao household farming. So this data comes from an FGD with women and men in the household and how they divide the labor. You can see here under farming activities for applying pesticide, all of the workload comes to men. While in the harvesting, post-harvest, and selling, they divide the labor. So this picture chart, one icon, shows a value of woman or man's perception of the division of labor. And then the next example I'm using here is a scorecard. Sometimes the data don't need any graphics. For example, maybe you have a complex or a really full set of indicators to show performance, and then you want to show overview or snapshot of the performance that year. And we can use scorecard, so we don't need the visual, but we are using scorecard. Scorecard shows the achievement. It's also the same with both chart. We need to have the template for a longitudinal report. If you have annual report per year or maybe 6 monthly report, use the same template every reporting cycle, and you can build up the scorecard. The scorecard is really good if you want to, if you have qualitative profile, for example, for one micro businesses, and then you have the performance table on the side, and then you have the qualitative. It's really good to complement. Okay. The next one, but not every graph is correct. We are seeing in our daily basis, we are seeing reports, we are seeing presentation, we are producing presentation too. But we need to really understand not every graph is correct. When the graph is incorrect, the reason can be these two. One is the person picked incorrect graph to show data, or they are using incorrect data. For the first one, the example is similar with our exercise. We have Africa, Asia, and Europe. We have total reach. We are using line graph. Why line graph is incorrect for this version? Because line graph per dot, per the data point need to be related to each other. So if you show Africa, Asia, and Europe, they are not really related. You cannot connect the dot with the line. Okay, it's not a good example of using line graph. Instead, using individual column for each region. And then the second one is when you are using incorrect data or different, like misinterpretation of the data. It will also result in the incorrect graph. For example, here we have region, we have total reach, and then we have woman reach as a subset of the total reach. Okay, we have 9,300, and then 6,000 of them is woman. To show this graph, we are experimented in the exercise. We can use stack bar, but using stack bar, we need to really careful, because in this first example, the woman is placed in top of the total. It should be the subset of the total. So this chart where it's incorrect because the data showing incorrect numbers. If you pick this one, then it looks like in Africa, the program reached more than 15,000, which is not true. Instead, use the men and women breakdown. So the total number is still the same with the total reach here. Okay. One more tricky questions. This is not about wrong or right. It's a tricky case. This is really close to all of us. It's about survey. Imagine you survey 100 young farmers, okay? In your survey, you have multiple questions. For example, you have the question about what are your preferred media to access good agricultural practices. You have the option, and then the respondent can answer YouTube and radio, for example. Okay, it's a multiple answer choice. Then this is your result for that questions. You have distribution for each options. Okay, I want to ask you, please write in the chat room. What type of graph are you using with this case? Bar chart. Perfect. Any other options? Pie chart. Interesting. Tree map. Okay. Pie chart. Okay. So to show the result, the first thing we need to do is we need to calculate the percentage, because the total surveyed young farmers is 100, then the percentage is here. 34 by 100, 34%, 45%, etc. And then the first choice is pie, because for whatever reason, if we are dealing with percentage, then our instinct will go to pie chart or donut or pizzas. But this is not correct. Can you spot the error here? The error is so many things here. First one, because of this is a multiple answer, then the section should be overlapping. And then the overlapping is too messy because like the combination is crazy, okay? So the section is incorrect. And then you can see here the numbers. 65% shown as a quarter. It's not correct. 65% of a pizza is not a quarter. It's more than that. Okay, that's the second error. And then the third error is if you add up the numbers, it's not equal to 100%. Okay, it's really bad to use pie chart for this case. Okay, so but in general, my suggestion to you all is to stay away from pie chart. Why? Because pie chart shows the quantity in an angle, and you have percentage. And for the people that is maybe not really familiar with data, it's too complicated for people to understand angle. And then in top of that, you add percentage. Okay. So my suggestion, this is not. I'm not saying that pie chart is always incorrect. No, but I'm saying that I'm suggesting that stay away from pie chart. And then the correct answer here is to using a bar chart. I want to emphasize that I'm using the bar chart. We can also using the vertical one, not always the horizontal. So yeah, that's the multiple answer question. So whenever you face any survey, maybe you will have a survey in the future, please be careful with this type of multiple answer question, and then pick the right chart for that. Okay. Yeah, now the styling tips. We all data person, we all male vocal, male expert, we are familiar with data, but the user of our report maybe not really a math or a data person. Maybe they are overwhelmed if we are present them with this busy visual. It's so busy. So I copy this graph directly from Excel. Excel don't really understand how to create a clean graph. Okay, they are tools. Basically, they are calculator. We need to style our chart so it's like easy on the eye. It's easy. It's readable. It's intuitive for the reader. The first one I want to point out here, there are a lot of unnecessary elements. We have numbers here, we have numbers here, we have legend, we have labels. So avoid that. Don't add a repetitive element. I'm remove the unnecessary element. And then I want to simplify it even more because it's good, but it's not clean enough. Then if you want to style your chart, go to chart design, and then you can use quick layout for sure, but experiment with this. So you define your own style. Okay, for me, I always like the grid line. I'm really particular about grid line. I always go to this style. The grid line is only to separate each column. It's cleaner now. And we can use color when we need to emphasize the findings. We have six different options here. I want to emphasize the top three of mine from the young farmers. So I'm using, I will reformat it, reformat the color, maybe with gray, and then these top three, I want to emphasize these three using different color. Let's try purple. Yeah. So when you present this slide, it's intuitive. The reader is really understand. Okay, top three is newspaper, Instagram, and radio. And use consistent color palette. Color palette is when you design your home, your room. It's really good. It's really easy on the eye if you are using a similar color palette. I'm using the purple and the blue shade and also the yellow. So I'm using the same color palette throughout our presentation. And also define your style. If a lot of time we can spend editing our graph, but if you know your style, it will take less time. Okay. We'll stop here. Let's see. Adam, maybe we can discuss one of the most interesting questions from the audience.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your questions. Sorry, Muneeb, did you want to come in?
No, I was just going to say, like, it's been quite engaging, as we can see from the chat box as well, but there were a few questions that we left here, so we could just answer them now, because I feel like the entire group can benefit from them. So Adam, please go ahead.
Yeah, and I wanted to include a couple of questions together. So Rebecca asked a good question, which is the optimal way to show all the information from a single graph, because I think the examples that Yuni gave actually only showed a bit of the graph. And Raya asks a similar question, which is, we showed the bar chart, which had like the media used, but we didn't show the combinations because there are lots of combinations. One person might be like social media and video and so on. And I think the answer to both of them is the same, which is that a good data visualization typically really needs to minimize the amount of information that you're providing. If you want to show the kind of flow between reach to output to outcome, probably it's best not to also include targets. If you want, because the more things you try to pack into your data visualization, the more confusing it will be and the harder it will be for someone to interpret. This is also related to a conversation in the chat about combo graphs in Excel. A combo graph is where you can show two things on two different axes at the same time. it can be really powerful, but by putting more and more information in there, you also make it harder for your audience to interpret. So rather than try to show everything, or rather than try to show all combinations, I would start by asking, what is the most important piece of information I want to show through this graph? In the example of the combinations, you might want to show that lots of people, that there's one particular combination which is really important. So rather than show all combinations, which would be very messy, you could have a graph which just showed, 73% of people got these two media types together.
Yeah. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, my tips is to limit 1 or 2 insights per page or per slide, so you are not overwhelming the audience. Okay, then let's continue to our part 2. Now we know all the visual, the example, and then how to bring data visual into a result communication piece. If you have annual report, if you have presentation, how to put together a result communication piece. Before that, before going into examples and all the technical, we need to understand and also remind ourselves why we communicate result as male practitioner, as male expert. There are 2 pieces of puzzle pieces here. One is about reporting progress. We have accountable, we need to have accountable to our donor, to the other stakeholders. We can oversee the journey, and then we can celebrate success. It's the one aim of communicate result. And then the other one, the piece of puzzle is we need to capture learning. We deal with a lot of overwhelmingly big data every day, but we need to telling the story. What is happening behind the achievement? Is there any challenges? Is there any barriers? This is where the qualitative will also play a role. We cannot show only data without any insight behind it, because then the story is not going to be presented nicely. We can observe any data trends, any relation between data. If we are dealing with a lot of indicator, we can see which indicators is related to each other. And then at the end, these 2 puzzle pieces will, the main goal here, for all of us is to inform decision making. Our 2 puzzle for report progress and capture learning to inform the decision making. Then the next round of implementation or the next phase will have a better improvement. Okay, this is the reason, this is the principle why we need to communicate result. Okay, now I want you to observe the example below. I will show you one example. This is my own work several years ago. I was a junior male. So this is the presentation. What do you like about the picture? And what are the issue about the presentation? You can type it in the chat box. You can say about what do you like, what is good about it, and then you can also point out what is really not really good about it. Okay. Okay. Can you share an overcrowded slide? True. Too much information? True. The box with inside is good. Yeah. Too clear column. Yes. Too full, no focus, title hardly comprehend. Yeah. Lack of clarity, agree. Could be simplified as graph. Yes. I'm not saying my work here is bad. As a calculation, the calculation, maybe I believe it's true. The method, I believe it's true, but the way I presented the data back then is really not optimal. It has potential. So from this table, from this presentation, it's really hard to understand. No key messages, no illustration, number heavy. if you really show this to a big room, then they will just, I don't know, maybe look at their phone and not focusing on your presentation, and unclear the description. Okay, it's a common mistake. It happens with everyone. Maybe in several years ago when we start the career. And then the next one I want to also ask you to observe. This is another presentation about woman perspective on irrigation business in Indonesia. I want you all to write what do you like about this, and then what is not really good about this. It present only the main data, yeah. Any other insight? What do you like about this, and what is? I like that I can understand without explanation. Yeah, it's a simple data. Yeah, the styling is not really good. Yeah, no chart title. There are no magic. Yeah. Okay. With this example, it only graphs. It only presents you graphs, and then you cannot see the relation from each graph. No messages to back up your finding here. What is it about? About workload, or about perceived benefit, or about the communication skills, or about the adding assets and savings and everything. They are so random. This 4 graph is so random. It feels like Yuni's 5 years ago just copy paste the graph from the Excel and then just done with it. Unclear link, no messages, and yeah, basically it doesn't say anything. So I will show you the. Now we are. I want to all of you to observe this one. This is the anatomy of data presentation that I now really keen on. I'm training myself to create a data presentation like this. We have the anatomy here. It's not only about visual, it's not only about numbers, but it's a combination between all the information and data we have. The first one I want to focus here is the main messages. Under the title, I create this one line of a strong message that capture the summary of the slide. It makes easier for the reader, and we need to also be realistic that not everyone will read our report cover to cover. We need to help them understand what happened without them need to read the whole documents. Okay, it's a main messages. The second one, then the graph. As you can see here, the graph is only like 30% of the whole presentation. So the focus is not only graph. The tips here, I always limit 1-2 graph per slide. The next one is the description. We have numbers here, but we need to articulate what it means, what the numbers means. Maybe you have different additional numbers to add here, add more relevant facts here. And then the last important stuff is the qualitative. Sometimes we are, so yeah, some of the data people, sometimes we are so focused on quantitative only, we forget about qualitative, but actually qualitative is really bringing the color into our data, the result communication. It can complement our visual, complement our main messages. You can add recommendation maybe also here. You can add qualitative insight from your partner, from your implementing partner, from your participant beneficiaries. If you have quote, it also fit nicely here. Okay, this is the goal. maybe there's more data presentation better than this, but I feel that it set the good tone to communicate a result. Okay. So now I have a case study. We won't have an exercise for this because of the time limitation, but we have the case study. I want you all to read this case study. The case study is about, imagine you are a mail manager for a 3-year employability program. At the end of the program, you need to produce a report capturing the key learning and the progress. And then this is the achievement. You can see here, we have 4 type of indicator. We have different level of indicator. We have reach. It's about employability. So reach here defined as number of young people completed the training program. The output here is number of young people connected to employer network. The outcome here is young people entering employment. And then the long-term outcome is number of young people sustaining employment. Okay, we have 4 different level of indicator, and then we have the total achieved annually, and then we have the breakdown of women achieved also annually. Okay, it's familiar with you. I believe you have this type of table in your laptop. Maybe you are currently working on it. So I want to demonstrate step by step in creating data presentation. The first one, Adam mentioned it in the Q&A section. First one is explore as many as variation of analysis that you can draw from the data. Remember, we can show progress over time using line chart. That's true, but we can dig even more analysis point from this data. Create a long list of possible analysis type, possible analysis ways of analysis from this data, and put a list on it. And then craft the messages. You have the list, and then you need to focus what is the most interesting message from here? What is the most interesting key learning from our data? Craft the messages, and then choose the appropriate draft. Look at step number 2 and number 3. We are not creating the graph right away, but we are choosing the messages first, and then we choose the graph after that. And then step 4 is put the result together. Add your main message, add your qualitative, add your visuals, and then make it really nice and clear and complete for the user. Okay. Now, I want to all of you take 1 minute to think what kind of analysis you would draw from the data. You can explore as many variation as you want. You can type it on the chat, and yeah, let's try. Success rate from one state to the next. Yes, Maria Andrawis said the success rate is really good. Result of women lag behind in time. Yeah, that's really good. The proportion from reach to outcome. Yeah, it's similar with a success rate. You looking at it from a gender lens. I agree. Any other ideas? Reach versus sustainable employment. Yeah, that's also true. We need to focus also with the long-term outcome. Clear progression, growth over time. Yes. Yeah. Percentage of women. Yeah. All of it is really good. So my answer is here. From this data, we can have, this is the basic one. We can see the progress for each level over time, like we did in the exercise one. And then we can have the woman proportion of total achievement over time. This is the basic progress report. And then the next one is we dig a little deeper. Third one is conversion rate or the success rate from reach to outcome. And in top of that, we can also add the difference of conversion rate between men and women. Maybe it's different. Maybe you have another story about it. The next one is maybe there are connection with access to employer network and the outcome of young people entering employment, because in the observation, in the monitoring process, during your work with your team, you heard a lot of good things about this employer network. Maybe you want to focus on that. And in top of that, you can also see the difference of women and men accessing this employer network. The other analysis, different analysis, is a success rate of young people sustaining employment. So we are focusing on the long term. And we can also add the difference of women and men in success rate in sustaining employment. Maybe it's different. Maybe you have qualitative insight about it. Okay. For the sake of this today's exercise, I want to focus on this point. So I want to show you the connection of access to employer with the outcome, and then the difference of women and men in accessing the network. The first one, we need to calculate from the table. The first table here is I have my reach, I have my output, and I have my outcome. I add another metric, percentage of people connected to employer out of total reach. So 53% is 800 divided by 1500. It's 53%. Same thing here and same thing here. And I add another metric, it's reach to outcome conversion rate or the success rate. So 27% is from 400 to 1500, it's 27%. Okay, why I'm choosing these two metrics? Because my key messages I want to choose is over the year, we see the increase in proportion of reach connected to employer. You can see here it's a steady increase from 53 to 84. And then we can see the similar trend happening in reach to outcome conversion rate. The first year is only 27%, but then at the year 3, it's 50%. So it's showing a similar trend. And you have observation, additional observation about it. I'm choosing this graph to show that the number of people connected to employer out of total reach is increasing, same as a similar trend with the reach to outcome conversion rate. And I have another messages. About women. If we see the conversion rate is okay, percentage of people connected to employer is really good, 34% at the end. But then we see the numbers of women. The percentage of women connected to the employer network is always less than 50%. So less women connected to employer network. Okay, that's additional message I want to show. So I have these numbers, I have these visuals, I have the key message number 1, and I have the additional message. And then to put it together, this is the last part. The last part is how to put it all together. Imagine this is your slide. We put the graph here using the styling, color, and everything. I'm writing the main messages after the title. The main messages here as the number of young people increase, then the program effectiveness in converting reach to outcome also increase. And I add more description. I have data of over 1,500 companies actively engaged and offering job visit, one-on-one mentoring, and all the activities. I put it here under the description. And then the messages about women. However, compared to men, women access less. because they have limitation on time, they have limitation of mobility, they have additional domestic tasks that they responsible for. So the rate of women accessing this network is less than men. And I add a participant quote from my interview. This is optional, but you can also add recommendation on your PowerPoint if needed. The recommendation here is one, optimize this network, and then see what the employer needs, maybe to spot the good quality talent, maybe access to the alumni. And then the second one is the recommendation is about support and encourage more women to participate by tailoring the intervention method, fit them even more. Okay, so now we have result communication. Not about the visual only, it's about the whole package of our result. Okay, this is, once again, this is not the only correct way. This is only my example. You can see a lot of more interesting and exciting report out there, but this is my example, and then the step-by-step how I produce this example. Okay. Now we are nearing the end. I'm summarizing the key messages from our webinar, 1.5 hour webinar. I hope it's not too much for all of you. In some places, it's already really late at the evening. The key messages here is understand the stories that you want to tell before selecting any graphic. Graphic is really technical. You really want to straight your messages first before you are going into this technicality of choosing graph. Different graph are best suited with different stories. Understand your user, understand your audience. Number 2, simple data analysis can tell different stories. From the annual table, you can produce the cumulative table. You can play with different metrics, percentage of women, experiment with all these metrics and ratios to help you telling the stories. And then number 3, be careful. There are a lot of, number 3 is there are a lot of imaginative graph style out there. Excel is limited to some basic graph. You can experiment with Canva. I'm using Canva. You can also, maybe the advanced level, you are using Tableau. It's also good, or any other sources out there. Number 4, be careful. Not all graph are good graph. Not all graph is correct graph. Think carefully about what each graph, think carefully about the source of the data you are using, so you're not showing the incorrect data. And then visual is not enough. Craft a strong message to communicate the result. I know this is also my struggle. Sometimes I know how to calculate the numbers, the percentage, but I really need to gain my skill in writing, because it's a different ball of game. Writing nicely, efficiently, and for some of us, English is not our native language, so it's really hard for us, but it's a good skill set to acquire. And then the last one is practice and enjoy it. Get your 10,000 hour to get your mastery. Okay, let's open the floor. Maybe do we still have time?
We have a bit of time, Yuni. I was actually going to say, since some people have to rush, can we quickly open the survey for feedback? I'm hearing some wonderful comments, Yuni. Everybody has appreciated how this has gone, but it would be really useful if you could just spend like a minute to fill in a survey. It just helps us to plan our next sessions better as well. While we take on some of the questions which have still been left unanswered, I feel like maybe we could just quickly address them. But feel free if you still have more questions that we can address in the final 10 minutes or so.
Should I take a couple of the questions while we so just to quickly answer Ivan's question, who asked it like about an hour ago. So sorry, I kept leaving it to our live session to answer it live. I think you want your basic data in a format which allows you to analyze it with Excel, which means to analyze it for a pivot table or formulas or however you're analyzing it, or so. But then when you come to actually visualizing the data, you would normally, I think, not do it directly from your raw data. You would take a processed set of data which is specifically relevant to the visualization you're trying to make, and then you do your visualization based on that. So that's my suggestion there. And on visualization tools, it would be really interesting to hear your examples. Claudio mentioned Data Looker, which I think is the Google visualization software, and Data Wrapper, which is specifically for doing interactive visualizations on websites. So these are really good tools, but there are hundreds of tools out there. So I would be very interested in like experiences from people on what you find useful.
There's one question about dashboard. Yeah. Dashboard is really good to capture your data. It automatically produce the visual you want. But for me, dashboard, it will never be the final products for result communication. We need additional presentation maybe, or documents maybe, to lay out what is happening in the dashboard. Some stakeholder is really keen to have dashboard in place for them to see the progress. But for me, it's never a really final products to communicate results.
So there's a good question from Ashanafi, which is storytelling the same as results communication? And I don't think so the way I see it then is, I think results communication refers to any form of communicating your results. And you can do this in lots of ways. You might be communicating results of an intervention back to your partner or back to the communities you are working with. You might be communicating the results against your results framework up to your donor. So there's a lot of results communication, or to senior management. Storytelling, I would see as it's like a subset of results communication. And this is trying to tell your data in a way which allows people to understand what happened and what they can do as a result. So I think the kind of examples Yuni showed, it is communicating results, but it's trying to go beyond results to say, what does this actually mean for the intervention? So I'll see storytelling as a subset of results communication.
Mm-hmm.
I think the key point over there, like Yuni mentioned, is really knowing who are you doing the analysis for. So knowing your audience, knowing the purpose of the analysis. So that really helps you to pick the information points that you would want to focus on, because the same data can be used to come up with different levels of analysis. So it really depends on which stage of the intervention are we at that we would want to analyze a particular thing. Targets were mentioned. Are we at that stage that we're really looking into progress at this stage, or are we looking into things, or are we comparing different elements like how women perform as compared to men? So those different elements means that you have different points of analysis, with which it means that you can communicate it differently through the graphs that Yuni just showed. See, any other questions that you can drop in the Q&A box? Okay, if not, with that, I would like to thank Yuni once again for a wonderful session.
Thank you everyone for coming and the participation and the discussion.
And Adam for also taking all the questions as well. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Right.